At bottom. Repeat. At bottom.
Understand you are on the bottom. Congratulations, Victor. Congratulations.
For decades, scientists dismissed strange anomalies in the Puerto Rico Trench as coincidence or just faulty equipment. But recently, Tucker Carlson asked a question no one had a good answer for. Why are we only now learning what's actually happening down there? What started as a simple mapping mission turned into one of the most chilling deep-sea discoveries in recent science. And it all began with a pulse.
It was an amazing experience. It was an amazing dive. I think almost exactly 12 hours.
Watch until the very end. What they found in the Puerto Rico Trench is truly unbelievable. The island hiding a secret. Puerto Rico isn't just a tropical vacation spot. For such a small island, it's packed with a surprising mix of natural wonders: mountains, deserts, rainforests, glowing bays, and deep cave networks underground. But its most incredible feature sits far off the coast, where you can't see it. Just north of the island, the ocean floor drops into the Puerto Rico Trench, one of the most extreme places on Earth. At its deepest point, the trench plunges an incredible 27,480 feet, over 5 miles straight down. It's the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, but it's not just about how deep it goes. Here, huge tectonic plates collide. The North American plate pushes under the Caribbean plate, triggering earthquakes, tsunamis, and weird underwater sounds that have even been picked up on the southern side of the island. Still, there's another kind of mystery that's slowly been unfolding, one that started to shake up scientists in a big way. Back in the 1970s, researchers began noticing something strange about this trench. When objects were dropped into it, they fell faster than expected. Instruments picked up a gravity anomaly, negative 380 milligaules, the lowest ever recorded anywhere on Earth. Gravity here was mysteriously weaker than anywhere else. Geophysicist Peter Molnar suggested something heavy and hidden might be buried beneath the seafloor. Some thought it could be a collapsed ultramafic slab. Others guessed it was dense metal deposits or leftovers from ancient tectonic shifts. But none of these theories fully explained why the anomaly was so large, or why it didn't go away. At the same time, marine biologists noticed something off about the sea life nearby. Certain types of whales, known for their long, steady migrations, started acting strangely around the trench. Some circled the area again and again. A few never returned at all. Deep-sea submarines from Woods Hole and NOAA picked up low-frequency vibrations that didn't match anything caused by earthquakes. Clearly, something odd was happening deep inside the Puerto Rico Trench. But at that time, no one was ready to face what it might be: a zone of silence. In 2019, a bold new project began beneath the moving surface of the trench. Scientists placed a network of passive hydrophones along the eastern ridge, launching a long-term effort to listen in on one of the planet's most remote areas. These underwater microphones were set up to record deep-sea sounds, things we'd never been able to hear before. The plan was to study earthquakes, marine life, and anything else going on in the shadows of the deep. For weeks, the recordings were pretty standard. The ocean's regular background hum filled the silence. Whale songs echoed over long distances. Quiet tremors rolled in from far-off quakes, and the sea floor creaked and groaned under the crushing pressure. To the scientists, it all seemed normal. They had no clue that everything was about to change. Then, in early 2020, something strange happened. One of the deep-sea hydrophones placed far down in the trench picked up a sound the team had never heard before. It was a steady pulse, rhythmic, not random. It came every 9 minutes, each lasting 45 seconds exactly. But what really unsettled the researchers was what showed up next. Alongside the sound came sudden changes in electromagnetic readings. These weren't just noises, they carried an electric signature. The pulse wasn't static either. It was aimed almost like sonar, And unlike anything known from animals or machines, these signals moved up and down the trench, almost like something was following its shape. The team ruled out earthquakes and natural shifts. This wasn't coming from rocks or water movement. It seemed to be something alive. Internally, scientists started using a new term, biologically modulated sonar. If that was true, it could completely change what we know about life in the deepest parts of the ocean. But the findings didn't go public. The researchers, fully aware of how big this could be, kept it under wraps. They weren't ready to release anything without being absolutely sure. Still, the question lingered. What was moving in the trench, and what would happen when the truth came out? The living maze. While geophysicists kept digging into the seismic data, marine biologists turned to the life hiding in the trench's harsh depths. It's a brutal environment down there. Pressure is more than 1,000 times higher than on the surface, and there's no light at all. Yet, somehow, life has not only survived, it's adapted in the most unusual ways. Huge isopods, creatures as big as dinner plates, creep along the trench floor. These deep-sea arthropods, kind of like giant sea-dwelling woodlice, have tough bodies built to handle the pressure and lack of food. They scavenge whatever organic scraps drift down from above. But their looks weren't what caught the scientists' attention most. It was the other, stranger creatures that made the trench feel almost like another planet. See-through octopuses, nearly invisible in the black water, drifted with the currents. These glass-like animals had evolved to blend right into their surroundings. Their clear skin made them nearly impossible to spot, helping them avoid predators in the pitch dark. Then came the real showstoppers, bioluminescent jellyfish. These ghostly jellyfish glowed softly, lighting up the water like tiny floating lanterns. It was as if they carried their own stars, offering fleeting glimpses of life in the deep dark. Their glow wasn't for us. It was a signal in the silent world of hunter and hunted, drifting together in the cold. Surprisingly, the trench was also home to coral. These deep-sea corals didn't rely on sunlight. Instead, they used chemosynthesis, pulling energy from chemicals like methane and hydrogen sulfide that seep up from the seafloor. Against all odds, they'd formed healthy colonies down there. Once thought to be a dead zone, the Puerto Rico Trench had become a refuge, filled with creatures built to survive where nothing should. These deep-sea creatures offered clues about how life might survive in the harshest places imaginable. As the mystery grew, some biologists began to wonder, could these animals help explain how life first began? Maybe even how it could evolve on other planets. But no matter how unusual they were, none of these creatures matched the strange signals and pulses the researchers had picked up. They weren't the cause. They were fascinating, yes, but still part of nature as we know it. And that left one possibility growing stronger by the day. Something unnatural might be hiding in the trench. The Puerto Rico Trench was turning into a place where science, nature, and something else all seemed to collide. This strange mix set the stage for even more discoveries, but also more questions. What did those timed sonar-like pulses really mean? What else was hiding in the dark that no one had ever seen before? The answers weren't going to come quickly. Down in the abyss, every bit of progress was slow and hard-earned, and the teams knew they were working with tools that were often pushed to their limits. The data blackout. As more people around the world started paying attention to what was happening in the trench, something disturbing began to show up. Between 2021 and 2023, 6 different research groups from universities in Europe, Japan, and the US started to notice the same thing. Their deep-sea sensors and mapping tools were suddenly missing data from the deepest parts of the trench. At first, they blamed it on small glitches. But soon it became clear this was something much bigger. It wasn't just a few missing files or bad readings. Whole blocks of data had vanished. These tools were built to run for months underwater without a hitch, even in the trench's extreme conditions. But in several cases, the researchers came back with nothing. No seismic logs, no temperature readings, no signal. And the ocean floor in that area wasn't even supposed to be that chaotic. It should have been one of the more stable environments. What they found instead was an unsettling silence. Some of the devices were pulled up, only to reveal wiped hard drives, completely blank. It was like someone had erased them on purpose. And the backup systems, the ones meant to save all the data in case of emergency? They either failed to activate or they returned complete nonsense, strings of jumbled letters and symbols no one could make sense of. One technician from a Belgian team remembered the moment clearly. He was helping set up a new sensor system when it happened. He later said it felt like something pulsed through the electronics. Not broken, not damaged, just gone, erased like their work had been deleted in one clean sweep. But by what? Or by who? It was clear no fish, squid, or any other ocean creature had that kind of power. At first, the strange losses were blamed on technical failure and the brutal conditions down there. After all, the deep sea is known for its crushing pressure, freezing temperatures, and salt water that can corrode even top-tier equipment. That explanation seemed good enough until the experts looked closer. The machines hadn't been pushed anywhere near their breaking points. All the key readings, temperature, pressure, salinity, were normal. Harsh, yes, but not enough to explain why whole data sets vanished without a trace. The idea that these were just isolated tech failures started to fall apart. The more the team studied the pattern, the less it made sense. These weren't random malfunctions. It felt like something else was going on, something that didn't want the trench explored too closely. At first, it sounded ridiculous. The thought that something could actively block the mapping of this region felt more like science fiction than science, but the evidence kept piling up. Could the trench itself be resisting exploration? Was this place, so ancient and untouched, somehow shielding its secrets? Or was it something even stranger, something unknown, maybe even intelligent, interfering with the work? No one could say for sure, but whatever it was changing how scientists saw the trench. A spot once believed to be well understood had suddenly become a dark mystery once again. Into the blue, unknown. By 2024, a new mission was set into motion, one of the most ambitious deep-sea expeditions ever attempted. A global team led by NO, the Schmidt Ocean Institute, and a private biotech company came together with one goal: to explore the deepest, most hidden parts of the Puerto Rico Trench. The technology at the heart of the mission was the Pelagia X7, a state-of-the-art autonomous underwater drone built for silent travel through the ocean's darkest corners. The Pelagia X7 wasn't just another research tool. It was designed to move quietly, without disrupting the fragile life it passed by. Its onboard tech was next level, packed with extreme depth sensors and a live video feed system that could stream footage straight to the surface, even from more than 8,000 meters down. Its mission? To map the trench floor in areas once thought completely unreachable by human technology. As the drone dropped deeper, it glided smoothly through the water. The video it sent back was both haunting and beautiful. Empty plains of fine silt stretched out endlessly in every direction. Off in the distance, tiny flashes of bioluminescent life blinked in and out of sight, like stars scattered across a night sky no human had ever seen before. For hours, the team watched in awe as the drone sent back footage from the ocean floor. Everything was going smoothly until suddenly the feed cut out. Without warning, the screen went black, like the Pelagia X7 had drifted into a void. For a long, tense moment, Mission Control said nothing. No one knew if the drone had been crushed by the pressure or if it was just a system glitch. When the video finally came back, what appeared on screen left everyone frozen. A shape, glowing faintly, almost see-through, drifted just a few meters from the camera. It wasn't like anything anyone had seen before. There were no fins, no limbs, no obvious parts that suggested how it moved. It had no visible way to swim, and yet it passed through the beam of light with quiet purpose, its body flickering slightly as if it noticed the drone. Then, in an instant, it vanished into the darkness, gone without a trace. The team couldn't believe what they'd seen. Was it a glitch? A trick of the light? But the footage was clear. Whatever that thing was, it had moved like it was alive. It didn't match any known creature on Earth. And more unsettling, it seemed to know it was being watched. It didn't swim or glide in any normal way. It looked like it was simply carried through the water by something no one could explain. Even more disturbing were the signals it left behind. The creature had emitted faint electrical pulses, not random ones, but patterns. It wasn't just some strange animal. It might have been something with its own kind of built-in circuitry, something alive, but built completely differently from what we understand as life. The video feed had only gone dark for 4 minutes, but those 4 minutes would change everything. The lead scientist on the mission, an expert in marine life and bioelectricity, could barely describe what they had seen. It was, in her words, beyond anything we've ever been able to explain. The footage was now in the hands of researchers and officials all over the world, sparking debates that no one was ready to have. What had they really seen? Was it a new life form, or something even more mysterious? The biological anomaly. After the Pelagia X7 made it back to the surface, a team led by Dr. Elise Ferrer began studying the drone's hull. They expected to find the usual things: bits of plankton, tiny marine life, maybe some bacteria. But what they discovered went far beyond normal. The first sign came when they ran a simple electrical test on the residue. Instead of doing nothing, the material reacted. Under the microscope, delicate filaments began to stretch out, like tiny threads reaching into space, then disappeared again. It wasn't random. It felt purposeful, like the substance was reacting to the charge in a way that almost seemed aware. And that wasn't all. As the research continued, it became clear this wasn't just organic material. It showed signs of running on a totally different kind of biology. As the analysis went deeper, the research team found that the substance's structure didn't match anything from land-based life. It didn't stick to the drone like a normal biofilm. Instead, it acted more like a smart layer, responding and interacting with its surroundings. So they decided to go further and study its genetic code. When they sequenced the material's DNA, the results were unexpected. The sample didn't have the usual genetic markers we see in most known life. Instead, it seemed to follow a different set of biological rules. The big breakthrough came when the team discovered tiny structures inside it, called electrolytic vesicles. These tiny sacs could store and release ions, kind of like how a battery works. That's when the theory took shape. This organism might be creating its own energy. By shifting and controlling electromagnetic fields around it, the creature may have found a way to charge itself without needing sunlight or food, like most life. It wasn't just surviving in the trench. It was thriving, using power sources almost no other life form relies on. No one jumped straight to alien theories, but it was hard to ignore the big questions. If a creature could live like this, in total darkness and extreme pressure, how many others might exist in places we haven't even reached? The way this one used its electrolytic vesicles suggested it had evolved completely apart from the surface world. Life down there followed its own rules. And that changed everything. If one species like this could exist, maybe whole ecosystems had developed in these deep, hidden places, unseen by humans for thousands of years. The team started asking harder questions. How could a creature like this interact with its environment? Could it even influence things in ways we didn't understand? This wasn't just a new species. It was something bigger. The team slowly realized what they were dealing with wasn't just biology. It was a whole new way of thinking about life. The Puerto Rico Trench, once just a deep geological crack, was now something far more important. It could be home to life that redefined what it meant to be alive. And this was only the beginning. As huge as the discovery was, it left behind more questions than answers. The strange substance and the unknown creature were only the first hints of a mystery that could take decades to solve. The vanishing. In late 2024, a second deep-sea mission launched, this time with a clear goal: find the creature again. This mission wasn't just more advanced, it was smarter, with upgraded drones, high-powered sonar, and tools that could send electrical pulses into the depths, hoping to spark a reaction. Everyone hoped this time would be different. They scanned the trench floor thoroughly, sending sonar waves through the dark and electric pulses deep into the silence. But after all the effort, the result was the same: nothing. No sign of the translucent form. No response. Just emptiness. The team couldn't help but feel a growing sense of defeat. What was this thing? Why couldn't they find it again? Had they just misunderstood what they saw the first time? Doubts crept in. Maybe it was all just a one-off glitch. But then, right when they were about to call the mission a failure, something unexpected happened. The deep-sea microphones picked up something unusual. They were built to detect tiny underwater sounds, the kind most people would never hear. At first, the signals were scattered and didn't seem to mean much. But then, the team recognized the pattern. It was the same one they'd recorded during the first mission. The pulse. The same strange frequency that had shaken them before. But this time, the signal wasn't coming from where they expected. It was coming from even deeper, over 8,400 meters below the surface. It was in the dark space beneath a major tectonic fault, right where the North American plate dives under the Caribbean one, a place shaped by crushing pressure and ancient, shifting rock. As the pattern played through the system, the team sat in stunned silence. The match was exact. The signal was the same, a perfect echo of the one that had responded to the drone. But something felt different. There was a delay, like the signal had traveled even farther this time. The deeper truth hit slowly. Whatever this was, it was farther down than they had ever imagined. And it wasn't just noise, it was something more. This wasn't just a creature reacting to its surroundings. The pattern suggested something else, something communicating, or maybe responding in a way no known biological system could. It was more than a mystery now. It was something that seemed to think, or at least respond, in ways no one understood. If this was the same being, it wasn't just hard to find, it was moving with purpose. It seemed to sense its world in a way scientists couldn't explain. It was navigating intense pressure, seismic activity, and magnetic fields, all in complete darkness. The more they studied it, the more the lines began to blur. Was this really a living creature, or had they stumbled onto something entirely new? Maybe it wasn't just biology anymore. Maybe it was something at the edge of what we call life. A being tied not just to water and cells, but to energy, geology, and forces we're only beginning to understand. The Puerto Rico Trench had revealed more than anyone expected. As the team got ready for the next expedition, one thought haunted them. This thing, whatever it was, wasn't just a rare deep-sea life form. It might be a key to something far bigger, a way to understand the Earth itself on a deeper level, how it lived, how it responded, and why it answered their signals so precisely. Those were the questions now facing the brightest minds on the planet. And one unsettling idea wouldn't go away. Had they already woken something that was never meant to be found? Thanks for watching and exploring this deep-sea mystery with us. If this story gave you chills or left you thinking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discoveries just like this.